Wedding day chaos. I exposed my brother's affair and unleashed a family storm. I never imagined I'd be pouring my heart out on the internet like this, but I feel like I'm drowning and need to reach out. My wedding day, just last week, was supposed to be the pinnacle of happiness. Instead, thanks to my own actions and the venomous betrayal of my family, it spiraled into a complete nightmare. I'm still reeling, questioning every decision, desperately trying to make sense of the fallout. This is the whole, twisted story. 6 years ago, I thought I'd found the one. After nearly 2 years of dating, I was ready to propose to Sarah, a brilliant, beautiful 32-year-old woman who seemed to share my values and complete my world. Then, one ordinary day, everything shattered. While she was in the shower, she asked me to grab her phone and look something up. What I found were text messages between her and my younger brother. At first, I tried to brush it off as innocent sibling banter, but as I scrolled further, my blood turned to ice. It was undeniably clear. They were having an affair, a torrid, secret affair, discussing clandestine meetings and longing whispers. The moment she emerged from the shower, I confronted her. She tried to gaslight me, initially denying everything, claiming I was being paranoid. But when I shoved the phone in her face, displaying the damning evidence, she crumbled, bursting into tears. The truth spilled out. She and my brother had been sleeping together for months, right under my nose. My world imploded. The two people I trusted most had stabbed me in the back with a poison dagger. Not only had my girlfriend cheated on me, but she had done it with my own brother. I threw her out of my life then and there, ending our relationship in a torrent of fury. When I confronted my brother, he actually defended his actions. Can you believe the audacity? He claimed they couldn't help their feelings, as if falling in love somehow excused the pain and devastation they had wrought. I cut him out of my life, declaring him dead to me. You'd think my parents would be on my side, right, wrong. Despite expressing disappointment, they constantly pressured me to forgive my brother, trotting out the tired cliché, he's your brother. Family is the most important thing to me, loyalty and trust are paramount, and my parents, along with my brother, had proven themselves utterly devoid of both. Despite the pain, I went no contact with them. As tough as it was, I knew that I couldn't have people like that in my life. I spent the next few years focused on healing. I went to therapy to deal with the deep-seated trust issues the whole situation had unearthed. I threw myself into my work, slowly, painstakingly, rebuilding my shattered life, piece by piece. Then, about 2 years ago, I met my wife. She was patient, kind, and compassionate, unlike anyone I'd ever known. She knew about my past, my family's treachery, but she never pressured me to reconnect with them. With her, I felt like I could trust again. Proposing to her was the happiest moment of my life. We began planning our wedding, excited to start our new chapter together. They were no longer a part of my life, or so I thought. I informed my parents about the wedding, not because I wanted them there, but because I knew they'd eventually find out, and I wanted to avoid any unnecessary drama. I made it clear that neither my brother nor his then-girlfriend was invited. Of course, my father launched into a lecture about family, and my mother sobbed dramatically, but I refused to budge. On the wedding day, everything was going smoothly. I felt like I was finally getting the happy ending I deserved. My wife looked absolutely breathtaking, and all our friends were there to support us. Then, right before the ceremony, my best man rushed up to me, his face etched with concern. Your parents are here, he said, his voice strained. My stomach dropped. And they brought your brother and his wife. How dare they bring him, of all people, and arrive uninvited? Fury surged through me. When the best man told me that they refused to leave, I felt my rage building to a fever pitch. Barely able to contain myself, I grabbed my phone and called my father. What the hell do you think you're doing? I spat into the phone. Son, it's your wedding day, he said, as if that explained everything. We're your family. We should be here. My voice trembled with barely suppressed anger. I made it clear you weren't invited, especially not him. My father countered. Don't you think it's time to let bygones be bygones? Your brother is sorry for what he did. He's married now. His wife is pregnant. Can't we just be a family again? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Did they honestly think that simply showing up would erase the years of pain and betrayal? That I'd just throw open my arms and welcome them back with open arms? Get out, I said, my voice cold and sharp. All of you. Get out now, or I'll have security remove you. Don't be dramatic, my dad scoffed. We're already here. Just let us stay for the ceremony. For your mother's sake, if nothing else. I was on the verge of completely losing it when my wife appeared. She'd overheard part of the conversation and could see the storm raging behind my eyes. What's going on? She asked, her voice filled with concern. I explained the situation, expecting her to be as furious as I was. But my wife, always the voice of reason, suggested a compromise. Let them stay for the ceremony, she said calmly. It's not worth causing a scene and ruining our day. We don't have to interact with them. They can leave after the ceremony. Reluctantly, against my better judgment, I agreed. I didn't want a family feud to be the defining memory of our wedding. The ceremony proceeded as planned. I tried to focus on my wife, our vows, and our shared love, but I couldn't help but be acutely aware of my family members seated in the back rows. My father sat rigidly with a forced smile plastered on his face. My mother dabbed at her eyes with a handkerchief. My brother looked uneasy, and his wife, clearly pregnant, seemed lost and confused. After the ceremony, as everyone mingled, I saw my parents heading towards us, but my best man intercepted them, reminding them of the agreement. They were to leave after the ceremony. I watched their silent argument, my father's stern expression and my mother's frantic gestures, with a sigh of relief, believing the worst was finally behind us. Then came the speeches. After an emotional toast from my best man, other friends offered their well wishes and amusing anecdotes. Fueled by a combination of champagne, rage, and a burning desire for retribution, I decided to give my own impromptu speech. I stood up and clinked my glass to get everyone's attention. As all eyes turned to me, the room fell silent. Since I wasn't slated to give a speech, I could see my wife giving me a questioning look, probably wondering what I was about to do. To my brother, I began, struggling to maintain my composure despite the fury simmering within me. A murmur rippled through the audience. Those who knew about my past with my brother looked perplexed, while those who didn't probably assumed it was a heartfelt gesture. Adding, my brother isn't here today, but I'd like to thank him all the same. You see, if it wasn't for him, I might never have met my wife. I paused, setting down my champagne glass and looking around the room. My brother and dad, who had been about to leave, stopped in their tracks. Their expressions were a mixture of fear and hope as they stared at me. Sarcasm dripped from my voice as I continued. He showed me exactly the kind of person he is by having an affair with my girlfriend. A deathly silence descended upon the room. I couldn't stop, even though I could see the discomfort and shock etched on people's faces. I was unleashing years of repressed hurt and anger. That betrayal taught me a lot, I went on. It taught me that the people you trust the most can hurt you the deepest. It taught me that family doesn't always mean loyalty or love. And, most importantly, it set me on the path that led me to my wife. I turned to face her, noticing the worrying in her eyes, but I was too far gone to turn back now. So, thank you, brother, I said, raising my glass. Thank you for showing me what true betrayal looks like. Thank you for teaching me that blood isn't always thicker than water. And thank you for being such a monumental screw-up that it made me work on myself, made me become a better person. A person worthy of someone as amazing as my wife. I slammed my glass down on the table. The silence that followed was deafening. I saw my brother's wife staring at him in utter shock. My parents looked like they'd been slapped. And my brother, he couldn't even look up from the floor. Oh, and mom and dad, I added, the words dripping with venom. Thanks for showing up uninvited and bringing him along. It gave me the perfect opportunity to let everyone know exactly what kind of family I come from. I felt a weight lift as the door closed behind them, but it was quickly replaced by another as I turned to face the stunned crowd of our wedding guests. My brother's wife practically dragged him out as they left, followed by my parents, my mother sobbing and my father red-faced with embarrassment or anger. I couldn't tell which. The hush was broken by my wife, who gestured to the waiters and remarked, I think we could all use another drink. Suddenly, the spell was broken, and conversation resumed, though I could hear whispers of my name swirling around the room. With a look of disappointment and concern on her face, my wife drew me aside. Was that really necessary? She asked quietly. I'm sorry, I said, the adrenaline draining from my body. I couldn't let them get away with showing up like that, trying to play happy families after everything they've done. Squeezing my hand, she sighed and added, I know what you mean, but this was meant to be our day, about us, our future, not about your past. She was right, of course. In my rage, I had made our wedding about my family's drama instead of our love. A pang of regret hit me, but it was outweighed by the relief of finally speaking my truth. I tried to steer the conversation towards more cheerful topics, but I could tell that my outburst had cast a shadow over the event. The rest of the reception was a blur, with people approaching me repeatedly, some offering support, others clearly uncomfortable. I didn't fully grasp the consequences of what I had done until later that night, when my wife and I were alone in our hotel room. I slumped heavily on the edge of the bed. I'm so sorry I ruined our wedding day, I whispered. You didn't ruin it, my wife said softly, sitting beside me and taking my hand in hers. But it was real, and that's what matters. How did I get so lucky to find you? I exclaimed, gazing at her in all of her forgiveness and understanding. I love you, and I'm on your side, always, she said, her smile fading into a serious expression. But what you did today is going to have consequences. Are you ready for that? I gave a hesitant nod. I think so, I murmured. We'll deal with whatever comes up, together, right? She asked. Always, I replied, leaning in to kiss her. As we drifted off to sleep that night, I couldn't help but wonder what those consequences might be. I had publicly humiliated my family, exposing our dirty laundry for the world to see. And while I felt justified, because they forced my hand, I was also worried about the fallout. How would this impact my wife, who had been nothing but supportive? Was this not what she signed up for, when she agreed to marry me? Would my brother's marriage survive this revelation? Would my parents ever speak to me again? I silently vowed to myself, and to my wife, that I would face whatever came next, stop running from my past, stop letting my family's behavior dictate my life, and start focusing on our future. Mine and my wife's. Little did I know, the drama was far from over. The weeks that followed brought surprises and confrontations I never could have anticipated. But for now, I'm left wondering, did I make the right decision? Did I stoop to their level, or was it okay to publicly shame my family after they invaded my wedding? And, most importantly, how do I proceed from here? Thank you for reading this far. I feel like I'm at a crossroads, unsure which path to take, so I would really appreciate any thoughts or insights. First update. Life threw me another curveball just a week after the wedding disaster, just when I thought things might start to settle down. I know this is out of the blue, but I need to talk to you in person if possible. There are things I need to know, and I think you're the only one who can give me honest answers, my brother's wife said, her voice trembling, when she called me yesterday. Incredulous, I frantically tried to imagine what she could possibly want to discuss, and then it dawned on me. The wedding, my speech, and the revelation of my brother's affair. As soon as I hung up, I went to find my wife, who was working on some files in our home office, who realized something was wrong after seeing my face. I told her I would consider it and get back to her. I think you should meet with her, she remarked after giving it some thought. You see, we can't change what's already done. But your brother's wife is innocent in all of this. She's now caught in a mess that she didn't create. Don't you think you should give her some closure, if you can? She was right. And even though I wanted to forget about the whole thing, I couldn't deny that my actions at the wedding had probably turned this woman's life completely upside down. And she was pregnant, for crying out loud. The stress of it all couldn't be good for her or the unborn child. My wife offered to go with me for moral support, so I called my brother's wife back and arranged to meet her the following day at a quiet cafe. My heart sank when I saw my brother's wife. She looked exhausted and drawn, her face gaunt, as if she hadn't slept in days. Seeing her up close, I realized her pregnancy was even further along than I had thought, which made me feel even more guilty. As she slid into the chair across from us, she said, "Thank you for meeting me. I need to know everything, from the beginning. I need to understand what happened between your brother and your ex-girlfriend. When it started, how long it went on, everything." I took a deep breath and proceeded to tell her the whole story. How I had discovered the messages on my ex's phone, how I had confronted them both, how they had tried to justify it by claiming to have fallen in love, how my parents had pressured me to forgive them, and how I had cut off all contact with them. I kept a close eye on her expression as I spoke. She remained largely impassive, but I could see the pain in her eyes and the slight quiver of her lip. She was silent for a long moment after I finished, then finally spoke. "Are you certain? Are you absolutely sure it was him?" "Yes," I said softly. "I'm sorry, but I'm positive." She nodded slowly, her hand instinctively moving to rest on her swollen belly. "He told me it was all a misunderstanding. He said you were jealous of him because you were attracted to his girlfriend and couldn't believe she had chosen him. He said that's why you cut off contact with the family." Anger surged through me. He had lied to her, of course. Why had I expected anything different? "I'm so sorry," I repeated, at a loss for words. She shook her head slightly. "Don't be sorry. You're not to blame. I don't know what to do. The baby is due in a few weeks. How can I possibly stay with him, with someone who could do this? How can I raise a child with someone like that?" My wife spoke up gently. "I don't have any easy answers for you. But I want you to know that you're not alone. We're here to help you, in any way we can." My brother's wife looked at her in surprise. "You don't even know me." "Because it's the right thing to do," my wife said simply. "And regardless of what has happened between the adults, that baby is family." A surge of pride and affection for my wife washed over me. I nodded in agreement. Of course, she's right. My brother's child, my niece or nephew, shouldn't be affected by any of this. My brother's wife looked at us, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. But it means a lot to know that I have some support." We continued talking for a while longer, exchanging contact information and making tentative plans to stay in touch. As she was about to leave, she stopped and looked at me seriously. "I can see why you did what you did at the wedding. I understand. I'm not saying it was right, but in a way, I'm grateful. At least now I know the truth." The drive home was filled with heavy silence. Finally, my wife spoke. "Are you okay?" she asked softly. I let out a sigh. "I don't know. I feel awful for hurting her, but I also feel relieved that the truth is out. Does that make me a bad person?" My wife shook her head. "No. It makes you human. This whole situation is messy and complicated. There are no easy right or wrong answers." Of course, she was right, but I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The truth was out there, but how would she use it? Would she confront my brother? What about the baby? I realized that what I had done at the wedding had set off a chain of events beyond my control. My brother's wife, and their unborn child, were the first innocent bystanders caught in the crossfire. And all I could do at this point was wait. I looked at my wife as we walked into our house. "I appreciate you being here, helping me through all of this," I said. She smiled and gave me a gentle kiss. "Always," she said. "Remember, we're a team." I nodded, grateful for her unwavering support. At least I knew I wouldn't have to face this alone, no matter what happened next. But as I lay in bed that night, unable to sleep, I couldn't stop thinking, what would tomorrow bring? And how many more lives would be touched by the truth I had unleashed? Second update. A lot has happened in the past 2 weeks since my last update. Even though I am still processing everything, I feel obligated to tell you what has transpired. As I stated previously, my brother's wife contacted me in an attempt to get the truth about the events that transpired between my brother and my ex-girlfriend 6 years prior. When we met initially, I told her everything. She contacted me again a week later, to put it mildly, her voice emotional and tremulous. "Can we get together again? I don't know who else to turn to, and I need to talk to someone," she said. The following day, my wife and I met her at the same cafe. I was shocked by her appearance. I was concerned because she appeared even more worn out than previously, with pale skin and dark circles under her eyes, especially considering how far along she was in her pregnancy. She began speaking as soon as she took a seat. "I confronted him," she added, with trembling hands. "I asked him to be honest with me, and I told him what you told me." I held my breath, hoping that my brother had finally decided to come clean. Naturally, though, that was too much to ask. She went on, her voice hardly audible above a whisper. "He denied everything. He accused you of lying, claiming that you've always envied him and that you are attempting to destroy his life. He even implied that you might have been the one who had the affair and that you are blaming him for it." I was furious, but my wife quietly pleaded with me to let my brother's wife finish. She looked up at me, tears in her eyes, and whispered, "I didn't believe him." I wanted to, but his reaction seemed scripted, and he became angry when I pressed him for specifics. "He has never become upset with me before. It made me realize that you were telling the truth." Although I was glad that she trusted me, I was sad for her and her unborn child. "What will you do?" my wife inquired softly. I had noticed that my brother's wife frequently made this action when she was under stress. Her hand moved to her belly. "I'm not sure," she said. I don't see how I can stay with him. I've been thinking about it constantly." I tried to sound objective as I inquired, "Are you thinking about getting a divorce?" Slowly, she nodded. "I think I have to. I cannot trust someone who can so easily lie to me and to everyone else around him. And I cannot raise a child with them. How would that set an example for our child?" I was unable to refute her reasoning. I was impressed by her strength, if nothing else. My wife asked if you had spoken to a lawyer. The wife of my brother shook her head. "Not yet. Before I did that, I wanted to make sure I wasn't overreacting, I suppose. I wanted to speak with you first." I told her, "You're not overreacting. My brother's actions constitute a grave betrayal of trust. Furthermore, it speaks volumes about his character that he is still lying about it today." "I understand. I simply never imagined that I would find myself in this situation, contemplating divorce while pregnant. It sounds like the plot of a bad movie." Squeezing her hand, my wife extended her arm. "You're not alone in this," she said. "We are here to support you in whatever you choose to do." I gave a nod of assent. "Yes, without a doubt. And not only for you but also for the unborn child. Regardless of what transpires between you and my brother, that child is part of our family." My brother's wife responded, her voice thick with passion. "Thank you. I don't know what I will do right now, but it means a lot to know that I have some support." We spoke about her alternatives for the next hour. In order to understand her rights, particularly with regard to custody of the child, my wife advised that she speak with an attorney. I offered to assist her in locating a qualified therapist. Decisions. As our meeting came to a conclusion, my brother's wife appeared calmer and more focused. She remarked, "I believe I know what I need to do. I need to do what's best for me and my baby, even though it won't be easy." We bid farewell with hugs and vowed to keep in touch. As we watched her leave, I experienced a range of feelings, including relief that the truth was known, pity for her suffering, and rage at my brother. My wife broke the stillness on the way home. "Are you aware that this isn't finished? When your parents and brother learn that she is thinking about getting a divorce, they will react." I let out a sigh. "I know. To be honest, I'm trying not to think about it. We have to be ready. They may attempt to hold you accountable for this." "Are you prepared for that?" I considered it for a while. I reached out to hold my wife's hand and said, "We'll face whatever comes up, together, right?" She squeezed my hand. "Always," she answered. As soon as we pulled into our driveway, I couldn't get rid of the sensation that we were about to experience something significant. My parents would surely have something to say regarding my brother's wife's divorce proceedings. The wife of my brother was contemplating a divorce. Without a doubt, my parents would become involved. And me, I was at the center of everything. But I felt like I was on the right side of things for the first time in years, with my wife by my side and the assurance that we were doing what was morally right. I was prepared to confront the truth, no matter what came next. For the first time in a long time, I felt strong. Nevertheless, I couldn't help but wonder what the consequences might be as I lay in bed that night, unable to fall asleep. What would my brother think if he found out that his wife was actually thinking about leaving him? Whose side would my parents choose this time? Time will tell, I suppose. However, I am certain of one thing. I will not allow the truth to be suppressed once more, not now. Third update. Things have drastically changed since my last update, which was a month ago. I will begin. The decision to file for divorce has been made by my brother's wife. Last week, she informed me over the phone in a steady, resolute voice. She remarked, "I've given it a lot of thought. I've spoken with a therapist and a lawyer, and after everything that has transpired, I am unable to remain in this marriage." I was concerned about her future, but I was also happy that she was advocating for herself. She interrupted me when I voiced my worries about her raising the child by herself. "I'm positive," she stated confidently. "I would rather handle this alone than bring up my child in a home where lies are the norm. Both of us are worthy of better." She is currently living with her parents after moving out. My brother will shortly receive the divorce papers. My father called me out of the blue 2 days after that call. This was the first time we had spoken since the wedding. He sounded exhausted as he said, "Son, we need to talk. He claims that you're responsible for everything and that you have been telling his wife false." I could feel my temper building. "Dad, those aren't lies. You are aware of what he did. You've known all along." After a long silence, my father's emotionally charged voice came back. "I understand. I should have handled things differently back then," he admitted. "Astrid and your mother, we were wrong to insist that you pardon him. I was taking a bath. Neither of my parents had ever acknowledged their mistakes before. My brother wasn't managing the situation well." My father continued, "He has been drinking a lot," my dad stated. "He came to our house and said that you had destroyed his life. To try to resolve everything, your mother wants to call a family meeting," he continued. "Would you think about attending?" I felt conflicted. I had a part that wanted to say no. To stop the family drama, I had assumed it had died years ago. Finally, I said I will give it some thought, but I'm not promising anything. I shared both chats with my wife after the call. After paying close attention, "What are you going to do?" I gave a head shake. "I'm not sure. A part of me wants to simply get rid of everything," she concluded for me. "But another part wants to go to the family meeting." I gave a nod. She believed I should go, which surprised me. "This has been looming over your head for 6 years. To finally face it directly and put it to rest. What if it simply exacerbates the situation?" I inquired. She answered, "Then at least you'll know you. And I'll be right there with you no matter what." That's the current situation. The wife of my brother is submitting a divorce petition. My sibling is going downhill. Additionally, I'm thinking of attending a family gathering that might either mend or reopen old scars. I have no idea what will occur. A part of me is afraid to face my family and all the hurt and rage that have been brewing for years. However, I also have a hopeful side. Perhaps that's a bold phrase, but I feel like my family has a chance for true honesty for the first time in years. I am confident that my wife will back me no matter what, and I know that by sticking to the truth, however difficult it may be, I'm doing the right thing if I choose to attend the family gathering. I'm not sure if I'll provide another update. However, I would like to express my gratitude to everyone who has read these updates and provided guidance and support. Although it has been a challenging path, it has been so much easier to know that I'm not alone. Good luck to me. I suspect that I will require. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you. So, Reddit, hearing all of this, do you think I handled things the right way? Was exposing my brother and his affair at my wedding justified? Or did I let my anger get the better of me and create an even bigger mess? Should I attend this family meeting, or would it be best to just cut ties completely and protect myself and my wife from further drama? Your honest opinions are greatly valued as I try to navigate this incredibly difficult and complicated situation, so please share your thoughts and perspectives openly and honestly.